Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching Sansad TV's live broadcast at 9 p.m. This is The News with me, Bhawna Nayar. Over the next 30 minutes, we bring you a roundup of all national and international news that you need to know. First up, the top 5 headlines we are tracking this hour. Centre holds high-level meeting on monkeypox. Top health experts, including WHO representatives, reviews guidelines. 9 cases, including 1 death due to monkeypox, reported so far. Parliament approves Family Courts Amendment Bill. Union Law Minister responds to discussion in Rajya Sabha. Question hour and 0 hour disrupted in Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals all to take precautionary dose of COVID vaccine. Inaugurates Srimad Rajchandra Hospital in Gujarat, Valsad district. ED resumes searches in Young Indian office. Rahul Gandhi asserts he will continue to fight for the protection of democracy and harmony. And Jaishankar meets US Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the sidelines of Asean Summit. Holds talks on global challenges including Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Indo-Pacific. After the top headlines, a quick look at some other important stories of the day. Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana recommends Justice Uday Umesh Lalit as his successor. Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022 takes effect. Act authorizes, allows collection of identifiable information including fingerprints, footprints and from convicts. Parliamentary panel calls for rehabilitation scheme for Indian workers who lost jobs abroad during COVID-19 pandemic. Over 14 crore 31 lakh women workers registered on e-Shram portal till 27th July. 3 crore 24 lakh are women domestic workers. Government will bring comprehensive framework of global standard laws including digital privacy laws, says Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Supreme Court asked Election Commission not to take precipitative action on real Shiva Sena claim. India-US to hold mega military exercise in Uttarakhand's Oli in October. 18th edition of Yudh Abhyas exercise to take place from October 14th. Government notifies mass emission standards to introduce alternate fuels by blending ethanol with gasoline. US Senate votes 95-1 to approve Sweden-Finland's membership in NATO. And Taliban wants US to not repeat drone strike that killed Al-Qaeda chief Zawahiri. And tonight's lead story. The centre has called a meeting of top health experts to reconsider the guidelines to deal with monkeypox. So far, 9 cases of monkeypox have been reported in the country. 1 patient has died. The reviewed meeting is being held by the Directorate General of Health Services that's responsible for managing public health issues of international or national concern. The meeting is being chaired by Dr. L. Swasti Charan, Director of Emergency Medical Relief officials from the National AIDS Control Organization, National Center for Disease Control and World Health Organization are attending the meeting. According to government guidelines, any person with a history of travel to affected countries within the last 21 days presenting with an unexplained acute rash and symptoms like swollen lymph nodes, fever, headaches, body aches and profound weakness is to be considered a suspected case. According to WHO, monkeypox is a viral zoonotic disease caused by the monkeypox virus. It spreads mostly from human contact.
We've received 12 samples from different states. We've received samples from Delhi, Haryana, Himachal, Bihar and the neighboring areas of UP. Out of these 12, 2 have tested positive and they are both from Delhi, from the patients who are admitted at the Loknaik Jai Prakash Narayan Hospital.
Moving on, the Enforcement Directorate resumed its searches at the office of Young Indian after Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge appeared before the investigating officers at the Herald House building. The Young Indian Company owns the National Herald, a newspaper owned by Congress. The agency had earlier launched search operations at Herald House, where Young Indian has its offices on the 4th floor. Due to Kharge's unavailability on Tuesday, the agency had sealed the office and sent summon to Kharge to be present on Thursday for searches to be completed. And now the monsoon session updates. The Family Court Amendment Bill got Parliament assent on Thursday. The Rajya Sabha passed the bill by voice vote amid protest by the opposition members. The bill has already been passed in the Lok Sabha. Responding to the discussion on the bill, Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju said family courts are needed in every state and in every district. He added that at present over 11 lakh cases are pending in these courts. He said that he would talk to the state governments to open family courts in every district.
जितने सदस्यों ने अपने अपने बातें रखे हैं, बहुत ही सकारात्मक सुझाव दिया है, बिल का समर्थन किया है। सर संक्षेप में मैं इतना कहना चाहता हूं कि हम चाहते हैं कि भारत का हर परिवार सुखी हो, हर एक परिवार के सदस्य आपस में तालमेल रहो, पति पत्नी के बीच में मधुर संबंध हो, बच्चे खुशी रहे, परिवार आबाद हो। हिंदुस्तान में हर एक परिवार आबाद होगा, हमारा देश बहुत आगे बढ़ेगा।
Taking part in the discussion on Family Court Amendment Bill, BJP Saroj Pandey pointed out that the problems of joint families and nuclear families are different. Mujibullah Khan of Biju Janata Dal sought to know why divorce process takes so long that children bear the brunt.
पाश्चात्य संस्कृति ने भारत की संस्कृति को बहुत हद तक आघात पहुंचाया है। मैं कहना चाहती हूं कि भारत की संस्कृति बेहद समृद्धशाली रही
है। परिवार न्यायालय को स्थापना और राज्य सरकारों और परिवार न्यायालय द्वारा की गई कार्रवाइयों को मान्य करने के लिए बनाए गए हैं। अपने उद्देश्य को पूरा करना जरूरी है।
Opposition party members, including the Congress, disrupted the Lok Sabha proceedings on the issues of inflation and the action of the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald case. Both question hour and zero hour could not go on. Earlier, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla said that if the opposition members go to their places and allow the House to function, then after 12 noon, they will be given an opportunity to put across their point. Despite this, the protest continued in the House. And the Supreme Court has directed the Election Commission not to take any decision on the petition of the Eknath Shinde's faction, seeking that it should be treated as the real Shiv Sena and given the party's election symbol. The bench said that it will take a decision by Monday on referring the matters related to the recent political crisis in Maharashtra to the Constitution Bench. The Supreme Court is hearing petitions filed by Shiv Sena and its rebel MLAs during the recent political crisis in Maharashtra. Let's now move on to the stories that are making news in the nation. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu interacted with the participants of the 48th Advanced Professional Program in Public Administration organized by IIPA at the Vice President's residence on Thursday. The Speaker of Lok Sabha, Om Birla, interacted with the newly appointed officers of the Indian and Bhutan Foreign Services at the Parliament House. Speaker Om Birla reminded that officers that foreign service is a challenging job, but that it is full with possibilities.
इस सेवा के माध्यम से हम देश को कुछ समर्पित भी कर सकते हैं और दुनिया के अंदर भारत की साख और प्रतिष्ठा को और बढ़ा सकते हैं.
Moving on, Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana has recommended his successor to the government. He recommended the senior-most judge in the Supreme Court, Justice Uday Umesh Lalit, for the post. A special court in Mumbai has extended till August 8 the custody of Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut granted to the Enforcement Directorate. The Union Culture Ministry has announced the entry of visitors and tourists to all the protected monuments, museums and sites under the Archaeological Survey of India across the country free from August 5 to 15. This decision was taken on the occasion of 75 years of independence. Jharkhand Legislative Assembly Speaker Rabindranath Mahato has withdrawn the suspension of 4 MLAs of the main opposition BJP. The Jharkhand Assembly Speaker had previously suspended the 4 BJP MLAs for 3 days. Now moving on, Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday asserted that in the last 8 years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had given the country an all-inclusive government. The Home Minister was addressing the Sankalp Se Siddhi program in Bengaluru, organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry. The program commemorates the 75th anniversary of independence.
MSME को बचाने के लिए हमने कई प्रकार के प्रयास किए। उनको वर्किंग कैपिटल दिया, 6 लाख करोड़ रुपया MSME को देने का हमने प्रयास किया। मुफ्त राशन देकर लोगों को टिकाने का, उनके मॉरल को टिकाने का प्रयास किया। डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर की स्कीमें भी चालू की।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has once again appealed to people to take the precautionary or booster dose of the anti-COVID-19 vaccine. The Prime Minister was virtually inaugurating a 250-bedded hospital of the Srimad Rajachandra Mission. The Prime Minister reminded everyone that to mark the completion of 75 years of independence, the government has started a campaign to provide free doses of vaccine for 75 days.
इन प्रयासों में जब समाज जुड़ता है, तब आप जैसे सेवाकर्मी जुड़ते हैं, तब तेजी से बदलाव आता ही है। और यही बदलाव आज देश अनुभव कर रहा है। साथियों, आज भारत स्वास्थ्य की जिस नीति पर चल रहा है, उसमें हमारे आसपास के हर जीव के आरोग्य की चिंता है।
And now news from the world of business and economy. More than 21 crore two-wheelers and over 7 crore four-wheelers were currently registered. Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Nitin Gadkari, informed the Lok Sabha that of these, over 5 lakh are two-wheeler electric vehicles. More than 54,000 are electric four-wheelers. The Odisha government approved 11 investment proposals worth Rs 2,253 crores that are likely to generate employment opportunities for more than 3,000 people. The projects include Adani Enterprises data center facility in Khurda for cloud hosting services at a cost of Rs 500 crore. Moving on, in a bid to contain rising inflation, the Bank of England raised interest rates by 0.5 percentage, pushing it to 1.75%, the highest since December 2008. Central banks worldwide are struggling to curb surging inflation, which has slowed down economic growth and affected day-to-day lives of people across the world. And talking about the Sensex now, BSE Sensex dropped 51 points while the Nifty lost 6 points on a day when stocks such as NTPC lost nearly 3%. So SBI, Reliance, Axis Bank and Kotak Mahindra were also among top losers. Telecom stocks declined by 1.14%, while healthcare and IT sectors did reasonably well with gains of up to 1.5%. And now about global markets, which did well as stocks across Asia and Europe gained 1 to 2%. Hang Seng was the top performer with profits of up to 2.06%. Caught in the midst of geopolitical crisis, Taiwan lost around 0.5%. Slipping into a short break, here you stay tuned to Sansad TV. We'll be back with more news just after this short break.
As the world faces new threats to security, it needs peacekeepers to keep the peace and protect the vulnerable. Why did India take to UN peacekeeping in such a big way?
The Indian peacekeepers, I think, embody the values of our society. And these essentially are unity and diversity.
It's also symbolic of our own commitment to a civilizational ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Please get your hemoglobin checked. Like you know your blood pressure, know your hemoglobin.
If you are pregnant, make sure that you take your daily dose of iron and folic acid.
Anemia is a very common problem in our country.
To know all about ways and measures to tackle anemia, join us on Healthy India only on Sansad TV.
The story of India's economic journey since independence. We will be exploring this in a two-part series of Economic Sutra only on Sansad TV. See you then.
Parliament in session. Day's legislative business. Debates and discussions. Catch the high points, all the updates on House Highlights. Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news and time now to see more news from across the world now. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar met with his Southeast Asian counterparts at the Asean Summit on Thursday in the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh. ASEAN is made up of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. They are joined by top diplomats from the United States, China, India and other world powers. Jaishankar also met US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They discussed the situation in Sri Lanka, developments in Myanmar and other pressing global challenges. It is understood that the rising tensions between China and Taiwan following US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's high-profile visit to Taipei also figured in the talks that took place on the margins of an ASEAN conclave in the Cambodian capital. Top Southeast Asian diplomats meeting in Cambodia's capital intensified efforts on Wednesday to stop the escalating violence in Myanmar. It is the first in-person meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations foreign ministers since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Foreign ministers of ASEAN countries are meeting in Cambodia against the backdrop of increased tensions between the US and China and global increases in food and energy prices after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Cambodia currently holds the rotating chairmanship of ASEAN that also includes the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Laos, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Brunei and Myanmar. Myanmar's military ousted the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February 2021. The country was asked not to send any political representative to the ASEAN meetings in response to the violence that has ensued. In protest, Myanmar's military government said it would not send any delegate at all. It has complicated efforts to push the country to comply with an ASEAN 5-point plan for peace. Among other things, the 5-point consensus calls for dialogue between all concerned parties and an immediate end to violence. The military-led government has shown little interest in following the plan. Last week, it resumed judicial executions, hanging 4 political prisoners. That prompted a global outcry, with calls for ASEAN to take harsher measures. In his opening remarks, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen said that if more prisoners are to be executed, we will be forced to rethink our role vis-à-vis ASEAN's 5-point consensus, unquote. In a draft copy of the final communique, the ministers say they remain committed to accelerate the implementation of the 5-point consensus and once again call for immediate cessation of violence. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
China on Thursday slammed a statement by foreign ministers of the group of 7 nations on the tension over Taiwan, saying it exposed the hypocrisy and ugliness of their governments. The statements came after China announced a series of military drills around the Taiwan Strait following US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei.
US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit has heated up tensions between China and the United States. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson said governments should abide by the One China principle recognized and promised by them when establishing diplomatic ties with China. China also announced that military exercises by its Navy, Air Force and other departments are underway in 6 zones surrounding Taiwan. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson defended the drills, calling them necessary and legitimate measures to safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity and counter the separatist forces of Taiwan's independence and external interference. Meanwhile, the rocket force under the Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army fired missiles in a training activity in the predetermined waters off the eastern coast of Taiwan Island on Thursday afternoon. The assault by multi-type conventional missiles from multiple areas tested the troops' capability of precision strike. The spokesman also said that the rocket force had successfully completed the entire live-fire training mission and the relevant sea and airspace control in the above-mentioned waters was lifted. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has met South Korean political leaders in Seoul on Thursday but avoided making direct public comments on Taiwan that could have further increased regional tensions. After visiting Taiwan on Thursday, Pelosi and other members of Congress flew to South Korea, a key US ally where about 28,500 American troops are deployed, on Wednesday evening as part of an Asian tour that included stops in Singapore and Malaysia. She met South Korean National Assembly Speaker and other senior members of parliament on Thursday. After that hour-long meeting, Pelosi spoke about the bilateral alliance forged in blood during the 1950-53 Korean War and legislative efforts to support a push to boost ties, but didn't directly mention her Taiwan visit or the Chinese protests. Now let's take a look at more stories from around the globe. The United States Senate has ratified NATO membership for Finland and Sweden with overwhelming bipartisan support. This will allow expansion of the NATO bloc with Sweden and Denmark. The final vote was 95-1. Each member country in NATO needs to approve the accession of the new members. The city of West Hollywood launched a pop-up clinic to deliver scarce doses of monkey-pox vaccine to vulnerable recipients. California is under a state of emergency due to the monkey-pox outbreak, and Los Angeles County currently has 19,000 doses of the vaccine for high-risk individuals. Interim Prime Minister Yair Lapid of Israel launched his party's campaign ahead of national elections set to take place in November this year. Lapid listed the achievements of the ideologically diverse coalition government that he created, which collapsed due to its internal division. This will be Israel's 5th election in less than 4 years. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, confirmed that the efforts are underway to seek revival of 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and major powers. Grossi said that there are important differences among the negotiating parties and important verification issues related to past activities that Iran needs to address. A large fire broke out in one of the Berlin's biggest city forests, triggered by several explosions that took place at an ammunition dump inside the forest. Around 100 firefighters were called in to battle the blaze. The fire spread quickly and massive explosions could be heard from the World War II era ammunition storage site. The fire department called on residents to stay away from the forest due to flying debris and threat to further explosions. And that comes to an end of this bulletin, which is the news. Stay tuned for more programs on Sansad TV. Till then, goodbye. Namaskar.